Hi guys, it's Laura here for Ocean Genesis and welcome to the next episode of my first marine tank. In this episode I've got an update on some of the animals in the tank. I'm also going to be talking about buffers, about algae, and I've also got a few coral confessions for you, so stay tuned for those. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. In the last episode, you met Sherbet, the yellow clown goby, and Honey, the Indonesian cleaning shrimp. This episode, I've got a couple of new guys to introduce you to as well. Starting with Melody. Melody is a 6-line wrasse. I got her because she's absolutely stunning for one thing, but also because one of the benefits of this species is that they are always very curious, they're always feeding, and they're very, very good at getting rid of pests. Pests that she'll eat include things like flatworm, which can occasionally crop up in tanks. I've absolutely loved watching her explore the tank. I was a little bit concerned initially because I thought she might be a little bit aggressive to the other fish, but they've been absolutely fine. I've seen them mostly avoid each other to begin with, but now they're starting to not exactly interact, but swim in the same space. They really don't seem to mind each other at all. One thing I've noticed about Melody is that her eyes really move a lot, and she's always looking, always inspecting. She's an incredibly curious fish, and it's amazing to watch. A really great addition to the tank. Melody isn't the only one who's joined the gang. Meet Harry. Honey was extremely curious, as she always is when I put new things in the tank. She went straight over to investigate him. Within a few moments of being in the tank, he started to emerge from his shell and immediately got himself to work cleaning the sand. Grain by grain, he will take each bit, clean it, feed off what he finds, and put it back into the ground, replacing it instantly with another one. Harry is a Halloween hermit crab, and he's quite the character. Halloween hermit crabs are stunning to look at. He's got these beautiful orange stripy legs and a really striking white part on the back of his body as well, which I was surprised to see. When he does start to stretch out or move around more, climbing for example, or moving himself if he's gotten himself into an awkward position, this white part does come out more and more, and it's, very interesting to see. As you can see, it's not just the ground he cleans, he's also quite good at getting things off the window. And surprisingly to me, he's a really good climber. I'm really surprised that for such a small looking crab, with such a bulky, awkward shaped shell, he's managed to get to almost every part of the tank now. For such a small creature, he has a really big personality, and I'm really excited to watch him grow. He's already molted once that I can see, and it's really cool to know that he's going to be growing out of this shell eventually. I have started to put in other shells that I hope will be the right size and suitable enough for him, and he has taken a peek at a couple of them, but so far they're not quite what he wants. I've also found him doing some rather interesting things slightly higher up in the tank, which originally really did worry me. But, apparently he's quite hardy. Anyway, enjoy these clips of this very silly crab doing very silly things. There is one downside to this jazzy looking crab. He's an absolute vandal. After a couple of days of having him, I noticed things were out of place in the tank. He'd only gone and knocked over my corals. Unfortunately, this did seem to damage some of the softer corals, including the Xenia, the one I was so confident about. Sadly, this one took a fall, and I think it crushed it so badly that it was damaged and sadly didn't make it. The Xenia isn't the only one, there were others too, so coral confessions here. A few of my corals have died. Others that didn't make it were my mushroom coral and the Kenyan tree coral as well. And then there's the candy coral. So I'm not really that surprised that this coral didn't make it. At this point in time, my tank hadn't had any buffers added to it, so my corals just didn't really have what they needed to stay strong, and they couldn't easily repair themselves once damaged. And unfortunately, this kind of coral is much more of a hard coral. It does need the buffers to stay healthy and stay strong. So as you can see in these images, over time, this coral really did just degrade and yeah, didn't make it. Now I want to just show you what a healthy candy cane coral should look like. So here are some that are in the Ocean Genesis show tank, and you can just see the difference. They've got a lot more plumpness to them. They're brighter in colour. You can't see any skeletons sticking out the top of them. They're generally just much happier. So this is in a tank that's very mature. It's been using the Ocean Genesis buffers for years now. And yeah, this is what I hope to have one day in my tank too. So the time has come. I need to start buffering. First things first, I need to test my parameters. This is to find out what my tank already has so that I know how much to put in of each of the buffers. So I got myself some Salifert tests for magnesium, KH and calcium, and what I do now is I test these weekly along with the nitrate and ammonia tests that I've already been doing, and I also regularly test and check the salinity of the water. Each test is slightly different when it comes to the buffer tests, but basically involves adding chemicals to a sample of tank water and then adding another chemical drop by drop until that water changes colour. And I really like this part, it's extremely pretty. The remaining chemical in the second syringe, that is the amount that is important. So once the colour has changed, you've got to look at your dosing syringe that has been putting another chemical into this. However much is left of that, that is the bit that is important, that is the measure that needs to be taken. While it looks kind of complicated, I've actually come to really enjoy this part of the process. It feels like being a real chemist, and watching the colours change from blue to pink or vice versa feels like a little bit of magic to me. Then we get to the numbers. The instructions for each is really clear on the boxes, and there's a chart in each to convert the numbers to the correct units for measuring. It explains it all in the leaflet, so I won't go too much into that. I think this is another aspect that puts people off the hobby, but Ocean Genesis makes the next part really simple. All I had to do was set up an account on their website, add my results to the relevant buffer sections, and press submit. When you start the setup, it will ask questions about the size of your tank and the type of corals you were setting it up for. This helps it to calculate exactly how much of the buffers you should have and how much you should use. Once I'd done this and added my results, I got all the information I needed. Each type of buffer has its own page, and on each page is a green box that tells me how much I need to increase my buffer by. I can see what the tank is now, and I can see what my goal is, and I can see exactly how much I need to add to get it there. Now, it's very important not to dose all of the buffer instantly, because this could cause a real issue in the tank and it could crash. The software will give two numbers in its result, one that can usually be dosed right away, and another that needs to be given daily after that. As I'm in the early stages of setting my tank up, I have started by gradually dosing just the maintenance dose, because it's so much. The Ocean Genesis software also has a warning on these result pages about the maximum amount to dose in my tank per day. This helps me know how many days to divide the dose over. Eventually, when my maintenance dose is lower, I'll be able to dose it all in one go and then add the recommended daily dose as well in the days after. You can also choose if you want to test weekly or fortnightly. I chose weekly so that I can keep a closer eye on it during the setup stages. I may switch to fortnightly once it all levels out and becomes consistent. However, I don't think weekly is a bad shout for the most part, because it's really good to keep an eye on these things closely to ensure the best health for my tank. If you've got any other queries or questions, you can also head to the Ocean Genesis website, scroll down to their FAQ section, and you'll find loads of information about how to dose and use the different buffers, which, by the way, you can also buy in a larger bottle as well. Now, if that still sounds quite complicated to you, fair enough, but I have some good news. Ocean Genesis is actually bringing out a really awesome auto-dosing pump. This pump is a very unique item. It's going to work with the Ocean Genesis software. And what it will do is, once you've popped your results into the software, those calculations will be sent to the pump, and the pump will be able to do both the manual doses and the daily doses all automatically. This is going to be an incredible time saver for so many people with these tanks. I can't wait to get my hands on one. And while that's going to be a much simpler way of doing this, I'm really glad that I am doing it manually first, because it's making me fully understand what's going on, and I'll sort of know how my pump is doing. And then there will be options when you get the pump to increase the dosage. So for example, if you know you're putting in new animals or new corals, maybe that's when you increase the dosage, because there will be a higher uptake in the tank. Now, I know some people have been waiting for this auto-doser for a really long time. It is on its way. Can I give you a date? No. Do the guys at Ocean Genesis really want to give you a date? Absolutely yes. It's just these little technical things that need doing. I believe the product itself is finished, literally just waiting for a few certifications to go through so that we can get it fully published in all the right places, so that it's easily available, especially with the software to work with it. But it's a very, very exciting product. If you want to find out more, I'll link a video that has a bit more about it, and there'll definitely be a future video about it too, so just watch this space. If you want to stay up to date with this sort of announcement, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also follow them on social media. It will also be announced on the news page of the Ocean Genesis website as well. So yeah, I will update as soon as I can, and I'll be using it in this tank eventually, so you'll get all the updates and how it's working. And I'm just so excited, because it's going to take so much of the complicated parts out of this, and it just means that, yeah, it's a more relaxed way of doing saltwater aquariums, which is amazing. What Ocean Genesis are hoping is that this will not only make life easier for current saltwater tank owners, but it will also really help people who want to get into reefing, who want to get into owning tropical fish. Really hoping that this will encourage new people to join the hobby and get lots of enjoyment out of it, as so many of us do. So it's now been a few weeks since I started dosing, and I've already started to see a big difference. My brown zoas are bigger, for one thing. They're out more, they're looking much happier, and the green is really showing through as well. The mushroom coral is blooming again. This was starting to wilt before, but now it's come back with a bang. And the few corals that I've added since losing the others have shown no signs of wilting. Hooray! I've learnt from another mistake too, and I've started gluing down my corals to the rock surfaces. This means they can't be knocked over by my cheeky little hermit crab, and it's really reduced damage and stress. I've also taken steps to reduce the algae in my tank. The algae has been tough to budge. The first thing I did was to black out one side of my tank with some black paper, because that window is close to a bright window, and I think the algae was getting so much light and energy from the window light that it was just overgrowing. Another thing I did to try and control the algae was to only run my blue light for a week. Corals love blue light, but algae need white light. So my hope was that by reducing the white light and having only blue light for a week, that I would reduce the algae. It has worked to an extent, but it is still coming back. And of course, I have been removing it all manually every week before my water changes. So it's an ongoing battle. The problem is still here. My next step to try and conquer the algae issue is to install a new wave maker. The one I have now is fine, but it just isn't powerful enough to really circulate the water and agitate the surfaces. So I've attached it now, and already I can see the difference. The fish are really enjoying it, they're enjoying swimming in it, and I'm hoping that it will really make a difference to how much algae I see next time it comes to my water change. And finally, I've also reduced how much I'm feeding my tank. I've realised that actually probably what I was feeding them before was a bit too much, because there's not that many of them in the tank and they weren't eating it quick enough. So I've reduced feeding them to every other day. They have slightly smaller portions than they were getting, and they seem absolutely fine with this change. I'm hoping this will mean that there is less nitrates and nutrients in the water. It is also quite likely that this is happening because I am in the algae stage of my tank. I've had this tank for about 5 months at the time of filming, and I think going on to 6 months, that's when I'm hoping to see a real shift in the clarity, in the algae, everything like that. So that's everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you've made it all the way through. Really appreciate that. If you would like to get more updates, make sure you subscribe. If you would like to like the video to help us out, that would also be amazing. And yeah, I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.